Well, this is Baruch Fleischman here, and I'm at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and while I have a chance, I want to start back into the Parsha of the week that is in the Zohar. So we're going to be learning over here, and you can see it on page Aleph here in the Parsha's Bamidbar. Now, today we're really not going to go into the Matak Medavash too much because I think it's fairly plain what the intent of the Zohar is over here. But we have an introduction which is really nice too. Let's start, and we're going to read this, the top part. We're going to read actually the Zohar itself. The Zohar says, "V'yadaber Hashem al Moshe b'midbar Sinai ba'ohel moed." That's the pasuk we want to take over here. This is Hashem speaking to Moshe Rabbeinu from the Mohel Moed, or in the Mohel Moed. Rabbi Abba began to speak, and he took this pasuk, and it said, "V'yivra Elokem es ha'adam b'tzalmo." Now, if you've been listening to any of the Shirim and the Rav over here, and the Tivuk, he's been talking about the concept of the Tzelem. And the Tzelem is the Lavush that surrounds the light of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu coming into as it comes into Zeir Anpin. But over here he has a different meaning. It's a simple meaning. He said Hashem created a man in his image. Hai Kra Itmar, so we have discussed this in detail. And it says Tochazi. B'shata debara kudsha bericho Adam. When Hashem brought man into existence, Aved le alma ad saife alma. I say Aved le sarve b'diyukden de le'elo de satoi, de le'eloi de satoi. He made for him an image that reflected both the upper worlds, that is, the worlds beyond physicality, and the lower world, which is physical. V'haza kala b'kulo, and he was incorporated by all of it. V'hava nehorech nehir b'syafe alma ad syafe alma. And he had an illumination, a light, that made him visible, made him able to see from one end of the universe to another. The word alma means all hidden areas. V'hava dachalecha b'necha b'kulo. And everything was afraid of him. Now let's look over here, and we have a little piece of the Rav, of the Reed that the Matak wants to bring us. He says, "Hinei lahabi maimer haba," to understand this maimer. Nachdim bekitzer masha kosev Arizal, and he says you could see this in the Likutei Torah in Parshas Kisisa. Hatam sharaka b'briya. Only b'brias Adam ne'emar na'asa Adam b'loshon rabim. That's the only time that you see the word Adam, but it says the word is ne'emar na'asa Adam, and that concept is plural. B'loshon rabim, v'lo b'shar kol nivroim. But anything else that was created was not created with the concept of plurality. It was just one. Because he wanted the man to be able to reach, to be able to grow into all of the hidden worlds of truth. V'yikasher es kulam, and then have the ability to tie them all together. L'chein siva hakodesh baruch hu kol ha'olamos yitnu mechelkam ba'adam. So therefore, understand this idea: all the olamos, which are Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya, those four worlds, all of hiddennesses, all of them would be worlds that would be given a portion of themselves to this man. Haina olam ha'asiya nasin bo nefesh. So now he explains these words and how they touch together. So the word nefesh, which is to say the basic life force of a person, comes from olam ha'asiya. V'hayitzira brings in a ruach, which is breath. V'hababriya neshama, the bria brings in a neshama. V'chein nasnu lo partzufe atzilus mechelkam. So therefore also portions of atzilus are inside of the man. Nefesh memalchus. Now there's another way of looking at it. Nefesh refers to the parts of malchus. Ruach refers to the parts of Zeir Anpin. Neshama me'ima, the neshama comes from ima. Chaya ma'aba. V'lechein Amar Na'asa b'lashon rabim. So therefore Na'asa, let us make them. He says that is the lashon of plural. This is plural, because all of these things, all of these worlds, his relationships to them, His relationships to the Partsufim are all designated there. Shenis Yayetz B'Kol Partsufim. He will get counsel and flow and intelligence from all of these Partsufim. Shakulim Yitnu Aberitzonim Chelkom Ba'adam. Because all of them, it was their desire to give to this man. So therefore you understand that all of these hidden worlds, all of these flows of bracha, all of them pour into the man, and if the man should stray off, yifgon b'kol olamos, because all of them are within him, so therefore they will have a flaw, a pagam, will develop in all of them. And then all of them will seek rachamim from him. So it goes like this, that if a person makes a sin, then he makes that sin in all of the worlds, because all of the worlds are attached to him. But on the other sin, and then and then they all will come and seek mercy for him. And then the man could do tshuva, and he could learn Torah. He could be the Gila v'Yispachol B'El Kulam, so that they would all be rejoicing and celebrating with him. Now let's go on to the next part. So we're talking about how that man is made out of that image, and then the Mato came and brought the Rav, and he explained to us that this refers to all of the hidden worlds who bring their shafa into their anpin, and as a result of that, are connected to him. V'af al gav daha okmucha ist istakle bei b'haikro. So even though we talked about this pasuk, once again, what is the pasuk? I just said it says, "V'yadaber Hashem el Moshe b'Bamidbar Sinai ba'or moed." That pasuk, he says that speaking. Says "V'afal gav daha ukumoho is the istakle bei b'haikra." But let's examine, even though we've talked about it before, let's really just examine what the pasuk says. V'yivro Elokim es ha'adam b'tzalmo. So it says that they created man in his image. Tzalam again. B'tzelem Elokim baro. So in the tzalam of this name Elokim, they created him. Came into Amad b'tzalmo. So since it said in his image, my b'tzelem Elokim. What do you need the next one for? Baro. So and they created him like that. El Vadai Trin Dargim the Kalilim Dachav Vanuk. But actually, you're also talking about two levels that incorporate male and female. That's what he wants to say. Elokim is wanted, but Salmo ends with a Vav. Vav is Lashon Zeranpin. And B'Tzelem Elokim is the left side, is the Nuk. The Nuk v'chavachad, so there we had the Klilin Dacha v'Nukva. Chad l'Dakar v'chad l'Nukva. So one of the phrases that Tzelem refers to the male, one refers to the female. Again, Kach, and for this reason, Du Partsufim Havivadai. So if you listen to other of our shirim in this series, you'll see that we're talking about two Partsufim. The word Du Partsufim is always indicated in the word Adam. So and you can learn this from the end of the pasuk. That he says that he created them as male and female. Now in other places he says that you can understand this is like this, is that the male aspect of creation, of Adam Harishon even, also has a female aspect. So that's called what it's called the ma, and the ben de ma. Ben refers to the female. And then you also have the other concept. The female has a male aspect to hers. It's the ben de ben, that's the pure female, and the ma de ben, and the part of the ben that's really male. So this is a little bit deeper. So he said, and he incorporated, that is, the man incorporated all of the different aspects, all of the different worlds which we saw in the beginning. And even though you see that where he is located, the nukva is also joined together with him. Because she also has two sides. In other words, that's what we said before. He is male, but he's not a male, just male. He's a male-female. Male with a female aspect. What does it mean in Kabbalah? It means he has an aspect of himself that is a receiver, that's the female part, and an aspect of himself which is a giver, that's the male part. In other words, he receives in order to give, he gives, and as a result of the giving, he receives. Different kind of idea like that. So he says that's the male which has a female part. Then you have a female which also has a male part, and it's the same concept, that they are mixtures of a lot. So he says, "Begin kach, du partsufim havavadai." There were two partsufim completely. The Sefer Dekra okach, and you can see that because it says Zohar v'nekeva bar also. V'kol olchav mikol sitroi. So everything really is incorporated into this Zohar v'nuk combo. V'afal gab the nukva achidas b'sitroi. So she has her own togetherness on her side. Halchi name kalila mitrin citrin, but she's also a part of the two sides. That's what we said before. She's male and female, even though that she's part of the male-female combination. She's also, the female is a female-male, and the male is a male-female. So that it's complete in all of it. So he said, this combination of all sides in all forms makes it possible to be able to see the consciousness, the intelligence that is the Ein Od Milvado in everything, up above and down below. But then people make mistake. Adam Harishon made a mistake. It's matu partsufim. It causes all of that connection to become limited down. The chochmas is talachas minei, and the chochma left him. Below havim mistakol ela b'milui de gufe, and he was only able to see those things that had to do with him specifically. What does it mean? He lost a lot of his consciousness, and the consciousness of the duality of the world, which is du partsufim, male, female, all along. Labasar olid benin eloi v'satoi. Then after that he gave birth. After the sin, he gave birth to children from up above and down below. Below isyashava da alma, and they never really settled in the world at all. Ad olid bar, until a son was born. Umine ishtalim alma. So what he was talking about, Mila'ela the Tata, there was there was Hevel, who was killed by Cain. So Hevel had no extension, and then Cain's children were destroyed in the flood. So there was nothing left of them, until came along Shes. Ad the Oled bar umine ishtalim alma, and that caused the flow to return back again. The world became complete again. Dikri Shes. He's called Shes, which is actually the number 700. She's got the concept of 7 again. So tying the 6 with the 7th one, which is Zohar Benuk. Now this had been talked about elsewhere. V'im kol da, with all of this, he says, Alma the tal lo ishtalim, the lower world is not completed. V'lo hav shlim, and it's not complete. And we don't find it in a state that it can sustain itself. It was not in a state where it continue and perpetuate. Ad asa Avraham, until Avraham came. V'iskayim alma, and as a result of him being there, he caused the world to continue on. He kept the world alive. Avalo ishtalim, but it still was not complete. So he said, Ad, the Avraham ishtakach bebei ba'alma, that Abraham is in the world, that is the chesed he does. V'achid be b'yamina, which is the side of chesed and rachmanis, and joined together with that. Command achid b'yamina the man the nafil. So like, for example, you extend your hand, your right hand, to someone who fell. Also Yitzchak, then that's the situation of Abraham. It's not complete, but Abraham is the one who picked up the world. So he says, Asa Yitzchak, then is Yitzchak. And he actually took a hold of the world with his left arm. Left arm is the arm of Din. V'iskayim yatir, and the world became stronger. Became into Asa Yaakov, and finally when Yaakov came, he actually grabbed the hold of the middle, that is the middle between Yitzchak, who stands forcibly the world in mitzvah, Torah and mitzvahs, Avraham, who extended and continues to extend the helping hand, the right hand to those who have fallen. And then finally comes along Yaakov. Yaakov represents the middle line, and the middle line which joins the two outer lines together. This Kalil Betrin Sitrim, and it becomes incorporated with the other two sides, is Kayim Alma. And that is the basis of why the world still continues to exist. V'lo hava mismoitet, and it doesn't shake, still in condition. Being called Lo Ishtil, Besharshur, but even so, the root is still not planted properly. Ad the Ola Tracer Shavatim, until the 12 tribes were born. V'shavikim Nefashim, and the V'shivim Nefashim, and the 70 souls that went down into Egypt, the Ishtil Alma, that that group, they planted Torah into the world, and they made it possible for growth to take place. V'im called Dolo Ishtalim, but even so, it's still not complete. Ad the Kabila Yisrael Araisa Betur Desina V'Italkam Mashkana, until that the Torah was given to the Jewish people at Mount Sinai. V'Italkam Mashkana, and they set up the Mishkan. Then is Kaimo Alman V'Ishtalim, the world was sustained. The flow, the pattern of the flow was completed. With Basamo Elohim V'Tomen, and it caused perfumed and brought sweet fragrance into both the other upper worlds and the lower one. So as okay, the Oraisa Mashkana Itakomo. So since the Torah came at Sinai, and then the setting up of the Mishkan, that all of those were standing. Bo Kutra Bericho Lemifrach Heloi Doraisa Lemifgad. Then the Torah, Hashem wanted to bring all the Bekudim, all the mitzvos of the Torah and its strength into the world. Kama Chaylan Inan Doraisa, and how many different hosts are there that carry this Torah? Kama Chaylan Inan Damashkana. How many Chaylan there are that were actually dwelt in the place of the Mishkan. Okay, so we're talking here in Parashat Bamidbar about the setup of the tribes, their flags, exactly where they were, how they developed up. So this is Baruch Fleischman, the Tikkun Elevator Kolel, and God willing, we'll see some more of this.